Welcome to Prime State Media. Today we have an important topic to discuss, the story behind Trump's hesitation regarding Iran. Donald Trump has effectively put his plan to launch military strikes on Iran on hold. The behind-the-scenes story of Trump's yet another taco moment is absolutely fascinating. It's going to make your day or evening, depending on what part of the world you're watching this video from right now. Last night, Donald Trump announced that he wasn't going to attack Iran since the Islamic Republic had assured him that it wouldn't carry out its planned executions of those found to have indulged in the violent protest.
We have some other little things to talk about. Maybe we'll start that first. Should I start that first? I think they're going to want me to. I have a feeling they're going to want me to. We have been notified, and pretty strongly, but we'll find out what that all means. But we've been told that the killing in Iran is stopping. It's stopped. It's stopping. And there's no plan for executions or an execution or executions. So I've been told that on good authority. We'll find out about it. I'm sure if it happens, we'll all be very upset, including you will be very upset. But that's just gotten to me, some information that the killing has stopped, that the executions have stopped. They're not going to have an execution, which a lot of people were talking about for the last couple of days. Today was going to be the day of execution.
Ron, you said that the killing has stopped. Who told you that the killings have stopped there? And if it's the Iranian regime?
We have been informed by very important sources on the other side, and they've said the killing has stopped and the executions won't take place. There was supposed to be a lot of executions today, and that the executions won't take place. And we're going to find out. I mean, I'll find out after this. You'll find out. But we've been told on good authority, and I hope it's true. Who knows, right? Who knows?
We've seen the body bags, so how do you trust them?
You've seen that over the last few days, and they said people were shooting at them with guns, and they were shooting back, and it's one of those things. But they told me that there'll be no executions, and so I hope that's true.
Does this mean military action is now off the table against Iran?
Well, we're going to watch and see what the process is, but we were given a very good statement by people that are aware of what's going on.
But was Trump telling us the truth? Did Iran indeed give him an assurance that no executions would be carried out? Well, this claim of Trump had as much truth as his earlier announcement that the Iranian government had agreed to hold talks with him. The same imaginary talks that he later said had been canceled. The Iranian government was quick to reject Trump's claims, saying that it had given no such assurance to the U.S. president. Don't take my word for it. This is the BBC report, and you don't expect the BBC to be an impartial player on a story related to Iran, since there is a huge Israeli interest here. The BBC reported that there was never a plan to carry out the executions, particularly involving one protester, Soltani. This was the man every single pro-Israeli Zionist influencer had rallied behind on social media, claiming that he was scheduled to be executed on Wednesday morning, which is yesterday. However, the BBC quoted the Iranian judiciary, which said that Soltani faced charges of colluding against national security and propaganda activities against the establishment, which are not punishable by the death penalty. So now you know that this, too, was a creation of Western media's propaganda in a bit to malign the Iranian government and then justify the future illegal military strikes in the garb of human rights violations. You only have to see the coverage of the BBC in the last few days to understand the desperate attempts being made to justify the future military attacks. This was Victoria Darisha using the word brutal to describe the Iranian government's action inside its Evin prison.
I ask you, Anusha, about your time inside Iran's prison system, arrested when you were visiting family. You spent 5 years in Evin, which is absolutely horrific, notorious, brutal. Can you tell our audience about what that was like? And how alarmed, worried do you feel about people back home, friends, family, and those who were in that jail with you?
I am extremely worried, especially about the ones I left behind, some of whom were executed, but the ones who were left there, especially when Evin prison was bombed. Ward number 4 was very close to the place where it was bombed. A few of my friends were injured, none of them fatal, but it was hell for them. Yeah. And
you actually have brought, this might sound extraordinary, but you managed to get out of the prison the bed bugs that you
Yes.
that were on the bed where you were sleeping, and also the cockroaches. If you
Yes,
want,
I
if you want
started
to show.
speaking out and sending voice messages and statements, and because of that, I received my second indictment, disseminating falsehood, which I was talking about the cockroaches, the bed bugs, the lack of sanitation, and all that. So it would lead to another 2 to 3 years of imprisonment on top of that 10 years, plus 74 lashes. But luckily I was released. But I managed to smuggle many things out. Some of them these are the bed bugs that we lived with day and night.
Victoria is one of the good journalists within the BBC. But try and remember, when was the last time even Victoria Derrisher invited a Palestinian victim on a show of Israeli torture and gave that victim an uninterrupted time to share his or her story of Israeli brutalities? My former colleague Jonathan Aspinwall is the editor of Newsnight. This week, I showed you how BBC Radio 5 live presenter Rachel Burden was using the word brutalities to describe the Iranian government's action. And then we have Victoria now. Can you see a pattern here? No one asked this guest how he was able to take photos of bed bugs and cockroaches from inside the prison despite facing brutalities by Iranians. I'm not trying to belittle his condition. I will never do that. I will always support an individual's right to protest. I'm sure there may be some truth in the allegations of excesses or brutalities by jail authorities in Iran. I have seen this in India and heard similar allegation across South Asia. But why this inconsistency on the part of the BBC? Even in this interview, the victim of the alleged brutalities did not mention who bombed the Evin prison last year. It wasn't Iran, but Israel. But his interview gave an impression that it was Iran which had carried out the bombing of its own prison. But neither this BBC guest nor the presenter chose to clarify these aspects. Coming back to Trump's decision to not attack Iran, at least for now, there are now reports that Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Oman intervene to convince Trump that attacking Iran would have monumental consequences in the region. Qatar also reportedly told the U.S. that it would not allow the U.S. military to use its soil to attack Iran. Israeli slave Republican Senator Lindsey Graham first made fun of media reports that said Saudi, Oman, and Qatar had persuaded Trump to not attack Iran. But hours later, this chap, too, made peace with the fact that his evil desire to cause more ruin in another Muslim-majority country in West Asia must wait for now. Hence, this disappointment. These are the bunch of clowns that American voters have elected to represent themselves. They're disgracing America both within and outside the country. Meanwhile, Iranian Foreign Minister Said Basaraki appeared on U.S. TV network to repeat his government resolve that it wasn't afraid of the U.S. threats of military strikes. Watch this clip and decide for yourself if this gives you an impression that was running scared of Trump.
If you have a message for President Trump, who obviously is and has talked about and is considering some kind of action to help the protesters on the ground. If you have a message for him, what is the message?
My message is do not repeat the same mistake that you did in June. You know, if you try a failed experience, you will get the same result. You know, in June, you destroyed the facilities, the machines, but the technology cannot be bombed. And the determination also cannot be bombed.
Faced with utter disappointment, now war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu has swung into action, ordering his slave Western media outlets to carry a fabricated news claiming that he was responsible for persuading Trump to not attack Iran. Who amongst you believes this terrorist when he claims that he opposes the potential mass slaughter of innocent people? Having said that, hope Iran is wiser from last year's experiences. This could well be a ploy by Trump and his Israeli masters Netanyahu to catch Iran off guard once again. That's it from me. Thank you very much for your support of this platform and our journalism. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. I will keep you updated as they become available.